Joining us right now, Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network. It's brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. Honesty, fairness, integrity. Jamie Hartley is your man. 253-565-8700. Grab a pint also at Zog's on Fox Island. Hang out with some friends. Catch a game. Watch the playoffs. Check out their schedule on Facebook and Instagram for their hours and event times. Mike Garafolo, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Puck?
You sound tired and annoyed. You're busy. It's that time of year, isn't it?
I wish. Yes. It's that time of year, Puck.
Okay.
We're all busy. We're all working hard. Is it too late to make a Christmas vacation reference? So do washing machines.
Yeah, I want you to do me a favor because you sound like you're up against it. Okay, I want. No, not up against the time. Just up like there's a lot going on. Do me a favor. Mm-hmm. Our good friend Jim Moore, who eventually will get on. He only does Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays because he's retired. He's like, I don't want to do much more than that. But I'm going to get him on with you because he'd love to see you and you'd love to see him.
Pretty heavy lift for a guy who's in retirement, by the way. But
I know. I'm telling him. I said you don't need to do that much. Like do one day a week.
Right.
So he writes, Substack. So he started a Substack site.
Yeah.
I want you to go. I'm going to send it to you. I want you to go read it today.
All right.
It is an all-timer. It's about him ranting and raving about technology, the use of passcodes for everything, and he's over it. He's over all of it.
Passcodes for what?
He was applying to be a substitute teacher where he lives in Bend, Oregon, and they needed like all this passcode. He needed to register with this passcode. He's like, nope, I don't want to do it. It's annoying, and I'm done. Have you seen the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas?
One of the all-timers, yes.
Where he reaches his boiling point at the McDonald's?
Yeah. That's me every day.
This column is that for Jim Moore. He's just reached his point. He's done. And then he also is detailing he is in the halfway through his dry January. It's just you're gonna get a laugh. You're gonna get a good laugh out of it.
That's a self-imposed burden right there.
I know. I don't understand these people that do that to themselves. All right.
I mean, I feel that way. By the time you get to Christmas and New Year's, it's just like and I take like 2 days off and then I'm right back at it. I mean, that's all.
No one likes a quitter, people. Okay? No one likes a quitter.
I don't want to go that far, but go ahead.
Clint, give me the latest. What are you tweeted this out, you and Rappaport about an hour ago? Klint Kubiak?
Ian and I, it's funny. I snuck a workout in and I missed the text from a shared source who we were both bugging regarding Kellen Moore. And I come back to my phone and I see Schefter had then tweeted the Cowboys requested an interview with Kellen Moore. I'm like, what the frig, man? Like, what the And then I scroll back and I realized we had gotten the text. Ian fired on both of our behalves. And so we get the scoop, right? So I was like, cool. All right, awesome. And so I sent him a picture of me like working out. And he's like, yeah, I figured. And then I didn't realize till like 17 minutes after he had tweeted, I got the alert from our Around the NFL account that I had reported the second interview for Clint Kubiak because we had talked early in the morning, and he's like, "I think Seattle's naming a coordinator today." So I said, "Let me check." So I sent a couple texts out. I go, "Yeah, I'm here, and it's Kubiak." So I guess he had then checked and said, "Oh, it's," and he said, "Yeah, I agree. I think it's Kubiak too." So I guess he had checked and said, "No, we're not hiring it." Well, I mean, not necessarily hiring him, but the interview. So he tweets that out with me on it, and I go, "Boy, I'm crushing it today."
Crushing it today, and I haven't done a single thing. So it's you and Rappaport. It's your expectation that Klint Kubiak will be named offensive coordinator.
I think he's in the driver's seat. I think that's what I put out there because we were told it's not. You're over your skis if you say it's done, basically. But a lot of times you get the sense the guy's in the lead. He's in there for an interview, second interview, first in person. And you go, okay, I can figure out where this is going. So, I mean, I would say I would handicap him as the strong favorite right now.
Okay, why Klint Kubiak? Why do you think that they came to that conclusion?
So they want to marry the run game with not only the pass game, but the defense and what they do. So that's why, Hank Fraley was in there. I had heard that there was going to be a strong offensive line presence or schematically things that work. And the last name Kubiak, never mind. The last name Kubiak, I'll text you that one offline. That's a part of what they do, right? The zone read, the zone run plays, and everything off of that. The ability to play action off of that, to boot off of that. A lot of teams are doing it. There's different branches off the tree. Sean McVay and his folks are doing a strong element of it. Shanahan, that's part of what he does and all that stuff. So it's all kind of intertwined. And he got off to a great start this year, right? And they lost Eric McCoy, the center. And I know you're probably saying, like, of all the people he's going to mention, that the center was a huge part of that. Huge part of that. So you see the potential that is there if your personnel is right, and if you don't have the rash of injuries that the Saints wound up having on the offensive side of the ball this year.
Because Derek Carr, Carr missed 7 games, right?
I don't know.
Kamara missed some games.
He missed 2 with the hip or 3 with the hip.
Yeah.
Remember, he got hurt against the Chiefs on that play, or the oblique or whatever it was. So yeah, they were banged up pretty much the whole season. After that Week 2 game, where they put up ungodly points and yards the first 2 weeks, after that, it was like they were never the same.
Is there any type of history between Klint Kubiak and Mike Macdonald at all?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong. They could have overlapped. I mean, I don't get the sense that, like, they worked together at any point. I didn't see anything overlap in that regard. Gary was in Baltimore. Was Mike there? Let me check.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, because his dad, long-time quarterback, right?
I've been scooping without working today, so
this has been your best day as a reporter. Is you doing an arms and legs day?
It was it was upper body today. It was,
good for you. Well, I could tell when for those who are watching, if you're listening, you didn't see it right early on when you did the lean back to show off the pythons. I mean, you're flexing. You want people to see what you got going on.
I'm in a weird spot. I'm in our bedroom. My wife hates the exposed brick. I
love it,
but people love it, and
I love it. I was going to comment on it before we got into football. I love exposed brick inside.
He wants to cover it all up.
Gary Kubiak was the Ravens offense coordinator in 2014.
Where was Mike? Because Mike went back and forth. He was there. There you go, coaching interns. So there you go. We did it. We found it. There's the overlap.
Okay, so him and Clint probably going out after practice, crushing beers, and chasing women.
Let's make sure. What are you doing? Why? He just had a baby. Why are you doing that?
What? He didn't have a baby then. He had a baby now.
I know, but you don't like
10 years ago.
You don't like to think of your parents in that regard. And someday the kid's going to see this clip, and
yeah, I'm sure I can't wait for McDonald's kid to search this up on his Meta glasses. 20 years from now.
Meta glasses.
Whatever. They come out with something new, like they do that Las Vegas trade show, the electronic show. I saw this one guy with these glasses. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, it's just basically a computer in your glasses.
Yeah, it's and I sold the stock. So we bought it when the IPO came out. We didn't get it on the IPO. I don't know how you get in on those things. I have no idea how that stuff works. But we bought it. I bought 15 shares. 15 shares. I had 21, right? And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, I don't have a E-Trade account or anything. Can you just buy? I'll give you a check." Yeah, sure, I'll
buy more.
So I sold all mine at one point, and then it dipped afterward. I was like, "Look at me, financial genius!" And then he's now riding the. I got only his shares left in my account. I'm like, dude, come on, what the heck?
Hey, do you think? I mean, they'll say, because everyone always says this. Hey, if indeed they finalize it, as you're saying that Klint Kubiak is in the driver's seat for the job, they'll say, "Oh, this was our guy all along." Is there any chance, because with like Fraley, they couldn't have another interview until he's eliminated. They couldn't actually name him until the Lions are eliminated. So they would have to wait until, if they make it all the way to the Super Bowl, they would have to wait until after that. Correct?
To hire him, yes.
Could they have another interview?
I don't know.
The rules are so crazy. I mean, it is so confusing.
I know how they are for head coaches. I just don't know if they apply to coordinators, because Kubiak is interviewing in person today, which I don't think you can do in-person interviews with anybody under contract until after the divisional round for head coaching interviews. So I actually today was, and I'm just getting started my workday here today.
Yeah.
I don't know why, if the assistant coaches or coordinators are different in that regard, and that you could do in person with a guy under contract if he's out of the playoffs before the divisional round. I don't know. So I don't know.
Do you know? I assume that's taking place here in Seattle. The interview with Kubiak.
Yeah. Now, I back to your question about Fraley. There is a window at some point before the Super Bowl to interview again. So you could do another interview, which I assume the first one was virtual because he's busy. And so that second one may be in person. Yeah, I believe that there's a window there that they can do it then, but then not officially hire him until after the Super Bowl.
Is there a chance we're going to see Kubiak and McDonald and Schneider again at the bar drinking, and some fan's going to take a picture of that and leak it out?
You lost me.
Do you know that? Maybe you don't know that story. That's how people last year. There was a guy sipping a beer who's a Seahawks fan. He's the one who, I guess, quote, broke the news last year that they hired Ryan Grubb, because there's a bar right across the freeway from the Seahawks facility. It's called Dino's. You ever been there?
Great spot.
You've probably been there. Well, okay. You've been to Dino's, right? Great spot, good beer, pull tabs. Any bar that's got pull tabs is great.
Right.
And so they were over there drinking beer. This guy snapped a photo, and that's how the news broke.
Yeah, everybody's a reporter.
Yeah, everybody's a reporter now. You don't need to go to journalism school. Just have a phone.
I don't even know what they would teach you in journalism school these days with regard to how you're supposed to do stuff on social media, and how it's changed the game completely. So, I would think that they would be on guard.
Oh, please. Hey, that's got to be breaking news. And if that's Kubiak getting the job, I want to put it on speaker.
So you're live on Puck and you're on speaker, so don't say anything. Don't say anything off color. But I was just telling the story about how I broke 2 stories today without barely lifting a finger.
That's not true.
Oh, you got my back.
Yeah, publicly, definitely.
Publicly,
definitely.
See?
You helped immensely.
I did help him.
You guys it's Rap Sheet. Rap Sheet on the speaker phone.
He said bye. Say bye.
Bye, Rap. Good to see you, buddy.
Irish goodbye.
I'll talk to you. That's okay.
What was the question?
I don't even know if there was a question. If he's interviewing today, I would assume. Okay, so he gets the job. He's, what is he, 37, 38 years old? So, again, you got another young offensive coordinator.
Not 28, though, like our guy from the Vikings, huh?
By the way, and I saw that Grant Ubinski?
Yeah.
Great hair, by the way.
Come on.
I'm not saying that because you don't have hair. I'm just saying he's got great hair. It was a great looking hair. How sought after is he? Is he like the next McVay O'Connell?
I always hate the next Sean McVay. Nobody's ever the next Lane Kiffin, right?
Well, no one wears visors anymore.
It all depends on how successful you are, I guess. Is he the next McVay? He's going to be on the fast track. It was a virtual interview. Immediately you hear the rumblings, and you go to Minnesota and you go, is he ready? And dude, if he needed to be an offensive coordinator, he would do it. He would crush it. He's great, blah, 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 all this stuff. Okay, no problem. Because they'd heard things about him before, but I never thought this fast, just gushing about him out of Minnesota. So it's somebody's going to, and I said this about McVay, somebody's going to take the chance. It's going to be earlier than other places are ready to take it, but you could hit and it could really pay off, because if you wait, somebody else is going to wind up taking that chance. So that dude's going to be, 30 or a coordinator. What happens first? We'll see.
Okay, so Klint Kubiak, if he indeed gets the job, he inherits a team. He inherits for the most part, offensively, and we'll get to the line, a talented skill position guys. I mean, decent quarterback and wide receivers and running backs and all that. But here's the question is, does he have the quarterback? Is Geno Smith the quarterback for that team?
I think he's going to be your best option in the short term. You got to make that decision before the draft too. So there's just too much uncertainty when it comes to the draft, and we're hearing this class is not that great. I think Mike Tomlin, though, put it best. Lamar Jackson was drafted at the end of the first round. He referenced somebody else who was taken in the second round, I believe. So you're going to have to make a call on Geno in the short term. And, I kind of likened it to the Sam Darnold thing. Nobody's going to go really – they're not going to be falling all over each other for Sam Darnold. So the Vikings may be able to sit there and say, we're not going to tag him. Let's take a shot at bringing him back at a reasonable number, have him compete with McCarthy, and maybe McCarthy sits for another year or whatever. So I think if you're looking at this and you're the Seahawks, you got a shot to sign him. You got a shot to do it quickly. You got a shot to do it at a reasonable number. I know he wanted more last year. I think you got to bring him back. But you've got to have, you got to bring him back, and you can't just sit there and be like, well, Geno's our guy, and not draft anybody and not really try to get something for down the line. And Sam Howell, we saw him briefly. That's not it right there.
Why do you think, though? I mean, you know this front office well. Why do you think they haven't drafted a quarterback? And I think out here in Seattle, Mike, everyone wonders that just because of where he previously came from and the history with the Packers, where that just was their philosophy every year, was to take a guy.
But most of the guys who have hit in recent years have been higher draft picks than they were drafting, right? And the one year they had the high pick was when they had traded it to the Jets. What number was that year? 6 or 4? I'm trying to remember.
Even the years they took, like Mark, and I know all these guys hit, but like Mark Burnell, but even Matt Hasselbeck. I mean, they drafted Hasselbeck late, and then they ended up trading him to Seattle. It's just, I don't know. That's
so rare. Like the Eagles, that's who Tomlin referenced, Jalen Hurts. The Eagles tried to do that with Jalen Hurts. The plan for Jalen Hurts was to draft him in the second round, have him play a little bit, show out, and then flip him for a first-round pick. Now, good for them that they had that plan in place because he wound up being their franchise quarterback. But it's just so rare that now that you're able to kind of do that, where you go, we're going to develop a guy and we're going to flip him for whatever, the markup on Hasselbeck was unbelievable. That's the all-timer right there.
Hey, this is a hypothetical, but I'm just going to ask it anyways, just because it's been brought up on 2 other shows I've done, because I don't even know how we got down this rabbit hole. I don't know. Are you familiar with Danny Kelly from The Ringer? He does like an NFL fantasy football show.
Yes, I've seen
Danny and I have known each other for years. He lives out here, and so we got talking about this. For some reason, we got down the rabbit hole of coaches and trades.
Yep.
And we revisited the John Gruden trade, which is unbelievable. The haul that they got for John Gruden. What does Sean McVay get, you think? Let's say they traded. Let's say they said, we're going to trade Sean McVay. We were like 3 first-round picks at least.
No. 3?
Gruden was 2.
That's it. That's the cutoff. Gruden was, even that today. 2? What was Sean Payton? What did he wound up being?
I'll do it. Hold on. It was
a 3rd-round pick, or it was
NFL
not much
coaches,
compared to that. It was not much. But they didn't want Payton. Payton was gone. It's so funny how that was painted as a retirement. It was like, is this guy getting fired? Is this guy just like, have both sides decided just to move on here, and he just wants to take a year off in the meantime?
I realized when we were doing this too, I didn't realize that Mike Holmgren was a trade.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Packers for a 2nd-round pick. Hold on. Where's Sean Payton? Gosh darn it. Where is it at? Hold on. I'll figure it out. But John Gruden, when I'm looking for Sean Payton, what was John Gruden? It was Bruce Arians was a trade. That's unbelievable. 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, plus $8 million.
That's insane. That is insane.
McVay would get more than that, right?
No. That's bananas. First of all, why are we trading McVay? That's the guy you picked?
It's just a hypothetical stupid thing. That was it. The Saints got a 1st-round pick in 23, a 2nd-round pick in 24.
Wow, they got a 1st. Yeah. Was it a swap? Or just a straight-up 1st-round pick?
New Orleans sent off a 2024's 3rd-round pick to Denver, too.
So they flopped the 2nd and the 3rd, basically?
Yeah, so the Saints got a 23 first-round pick, the 29th overall, and a 2nd-round pick in 2024.
That is incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just fun.
I
just
completely forgot. Not that I forgot about it. I completely forgot the compensation.
Yeah. Okay. Bears.
Yes.
How many more are they going to interview everyone in the NFL? Because I mean, every time I open up Twitter, they've sent out another one of those like college football NIL, like with that being said posts that we finished another person. They've interviewed everybody. When are they going to land on someone? Just hire Pete Carroll and close the book.
Well, this is part of the process for slowing this thing down that the NFL wanted to do, which the Patriots blew right through it by just doing the 2 quick interviews of guys that never had a shot at the job. So this is kind of what the NFL wanted, to make this a more thorough process, to get more people in front of ownership.
Yeah.
And mission accomplished in Chicago and with the Jets as well. Now you've got the Jaguars too that are kind of, we still don't know which way they're going to go, but they don't seem to be just filling the time with the volume of candidates here. So McCarthy's an interesting one because I think that's a good mix of what they're looking for. They're looking for a good offensive guy who can help the quarterback, but they're also looking for the leader of men.
Oh, I love leader of men.
You must say in that leader of men.
Yeah, leader of men.
You know, up there on the stage with a huge American flag behind them, patting style. You ever put your face in a pile of goo that used to be your hand in a pile of goo used to be your best friend's face? That's a great line. So McCarthy, I think, is a good mix of those two. Now, he's not leader of men, but he's a good culture setter.
Yeah.
He's always keeping it fresh. I talked to Jordan Lewis, the cornerback there, before the end of the season, and he said the locker room wants him back because he's a lunch pail inner city guy, kind of like a lot of us. He grew up.
I love lunch pail.
He understands that mentality. So, he's got a little bit of that. He's got a little bit of both. I would hire him in a heartbeat if I was the Bears.
2 more things. Deion. What game is Deion Sanders playing right now? Does he really have an interest in the Cowboys job? Does he have an interest in the Raiders job? Is he trying to leverage Colorado? What do you think he's up to?
I think you're going to see a contract extension to stay at Colorado in the near future. That's what I think. I don't think he'll be the coach in the NFL. But if he did one day, I'm done doubting Deion. In the right situation, it would have to be like they had at Colorado with Zimmer there, Pat Shurmur there. Antonio Pierce tried to do the same thing with the Raiders, and if he had time, maybe he would have. But to add experienced coaches to your coaching staff to help you out, it would have to be that kind of thing. But maybe someday down the line.
Yeah, you think Pete Carroll could work in Dallas with Jones?
Yeah, I think so. Jerry's into the motivational stuff too.
Yeah,
just not as out front with it. He listens to motivational tapes on his way to work.
Who doesn't?
That kind of stuff. Jerry Jones does.
Yeah, who doesn't do that? Hey, do you watch?
Who doesn't do that?
Yeah, who doesn't do that? I mean, everybody does
Descendants.
that.
The Descendants soundtracks?
Yes.
A lot of that. We were Taylor for a while. Now we're Descendants, and now we're transitioning into what have we been doing lately? We're on the way out of this. Maybe we haven't figured out where we're going from this point. So,
well, once you get through the Taylor Swift stage, then
we're through it. It's done.
Good.
I asked about. I was like, "What happened to Taylor?"
God Almighty. Speaking of Jerry Jones, do you watch Landman? By the way.
No,
so good. He's so good. Awesome. His one scene is so good. So good.
Yeah, I saw. I saw the clip online, and I also saw the one where Billy Bob Thornton is talking about the wind turbines.
Yeah, that's a good
and
one.
How they're actually carbon negative.
Yes, yeah. It's a real good commentary. Now
think about that with all the electric cars out there. Okay, that's great. No emissions. What's powering the cars?
Exactly right. Well, it's the dirty little truth. I'm gonna go back. I don't know how to go from wind turbines to this next topic because there's not perfect marriage to it. But it's back to the coaching search.
Yeah.
And I thought about this last week.
The winds of change are blowing in the coaching.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. I thought about this last week when you brought it up, and I don't think we discussed it, but maybe we did. When you brought up the Thomas Brown is interviewed for the Seahawks OC job. And I thought, okay, so they've got to fulfill the Rooney Rule. That just was my first thought. They got to fulfill the Rooney Rule in order to interview a minority candidate. And I thought a lot about then what's transpired here, even since then. I saw that Leslie Frazier got an interview or scheduled an interview with the Cowboys, I believe, right? And Leslie Frazier, and then I remember that Leslie Frazier interviewed for the Seahawks job before they hired Pete Carroll. And I'll always remember, and I got my timeline screwed up, but I remember that they had already made their decision on Pete Carroll was going to be the coach. Because Jim Mora, the day he was giving his end-of-the-year press conference, the Seahawks brass was in L.A. talking to Carroll and essentially offering him the job. And then it comes out after that they brought in Leslie Frazier for an interview. And I'm thinking, how can we improve the Rooney Rule? The idea behind it is great. But the execution of it, it's a farce in a lot of cases. I don't know how you improve it.
What are you going to do?
I don't know.
This is the best option to be let's slow it down. Let's not allow you to interview guys before the division or hire guys interview in person before the divisional round unless they're not under contract, which they may have to do away with that now because the Patriots blew through that by just having guys who aren't under contract. So they may have to say no in-person interviews at all. Who knows? That's the only way you can change it to slow it down even more now. The Rooney Rule allows more people to get in front of coaches and even search firms. Search firm maybe help them with this. Next year they help them with that. Hey, this guy really impressed. You should bring him in, blah, blah, blah. The Rooney Rule was named after the Steelers ownership, who was impressed by Mike Tomlin so much that they wound up hiring him in the process, and that's the way it's supposed to work.
But we acknowledge that teams are being disingenuous in how they use it.
The all-timer, well, first of all, Gruden was one, right? When they hired Gruden in Las Vegas, and I think, or maybe it was even, I think they hired Gruden, and we had reported simultaneously that they were going to hire Mayock to be the general manager. And then they bring in Mark Ross and somebody else. And I'm like, I even talked to Mark Ross about it. I'm like, bro, you knew who was the GM was going to be. And he's like, yeah, but, the opportunity to get an interview and get in front of people. The all-timer, Eagles fire Andy Reid on Sunday or Monday, whatever it was. The Chiefs were in Northeast Philly at the private airport there. They flew there. They had meetings at that airport. Okay? News cameras were staked out there. The Chiefs are here. They're meeting, blah, 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 with Andy Reid. Blah, blah, blah. Full court press. The ink's not even dry on the termination paper in Philly. Okay? Later that week, they interview God knows who, right? And Scott Pioli is sitting in on the interviews when he knew he was out as general. It was the biggest, what are we doing here? And I can't believe anybody even agreed to these interviews. We knew it was over. And they hire him, and I think that there was even some talk to John Wooten at the time, who was the head of the Fritz Pollard Alliance, and he said, I think he said, well, they really, in the spirit of the rule, they complied. I got to go back and find the quotes. Yeah. But I was like, this one, if I'm anybody, nope. And what if everybody said no? What if everybody said no? What would have happened? What would have happened? And everybody knew they were hiring Andy Reid. So that was the all-timer to me.
All right, last thing before you go. What do we got? Championship weekend. Who comes out on top? Who are the teams we're talking about next week?
I like Baltimore to beat Buffalo. Hopefully it's a good game. I can't. I'm trying to get there. I can't get there with the Texans. So Kansas City wins that game. What's the night game? Commanders, Detroit. I think Washington will keep that thing close. In the end, I think Detroit's got too much. I think we got Kansas City, Detroit. I give the Rams a puncher's chance. I do. I think the Rams have got that. They're playing well up front defensively. They got a strong running game. Kyron Williams is moving piles better than I think anybody ever thought he could. I'll give the Rams a chance in that one. I don't make picks, but if you make me, sure, I'll take the Rams. Because I want the credit if we come back on that.
We didn't even get into the Eagles fan. Eagles fan. There's so much to unpack with that story.
Now, I'm not going to repeat it, but the sentence that he said.
Oh, my God.
As constructed, I said this to somebody the other day. I go, they got scoregami, right? This score's never happened in the NFL. I said, has that sentence with those words in order ever been in human history? I think that was sentence-agami right there. don't even know
And I'm not excusing. There's just more stuff coming out with the Packers fan.
Oh,
like, what was his true intentions of what he was trying to do there?
Yeah, right. And did he provoke,
Yeah. There's a lot to that story. I mean, it's ugly on both sides, I think.
Yeah, and look, I'm from Philly. I grew up an Eagles fan. I'm not an Eagles fan anymore. People that don't believe it, I don't care what you think. I'm not. I get that all the time. But you know what's funny? I'm down there covering a game, and my buddy's got a friend who has a box for every game. So I go over to it's right by the press box. So I walk over there for 5 minutes every game to go say. And I walk in. One guy says something about you're Giants. I go, my Giants. You covered them or something. You're a Giants fan. I go. So I get my chops busted up north because you're from Philly. You're an Eagles fan, and then I come down here because I covered the Giants. Now I'm I get it on both ends. You're all wrong. How about that? Anyway, that fan base. There's a lot of idiots that ruin it for everybody else because they feel like they have to keep a reputation up. This is our house. We got it. Just watch the game. It ain't that important, It's just there's no reason to treat people like that.
All right, when the news becomes official with Klint Kubiak, I mean, just give me a heads up. All right,
I'll tell you first. You can break it.
Okay.
Actually, Ian will tell you. You can.
Yeah, perfect.
We got it. We got it.
I just want to know. You'll be on your third workout of the day. All right, we'll talk to you next week.
Definitely not triple. See you, homeboy.
See you, bud. There he is, Mike Garafolo, NFL Network. He's with us every single week. Brought to you by Hartley & Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. Full episode of Mike up on YouTube. When you go there, please hit the like button and subscribe. And also, check it out later on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. And, of course, always up at pucksports.com.